to Find Out Nation. I'm one of your hosts, Jaime.
I'm one of your hosts, Nicole.
And we are here to discuss what happens when a nation fucks around and they're finding out. This week has been a week. It was the inauguration this week. Nicole and I both mentioned before we started this podcast that our look is indicative of our mental health and our mental state.
Yes.
To say, it's interesting because the couple of weeks leading up to the inauguration, we obviously had topics to talk about, but today the list is long.
Like, it is. It's been a 5,
6, 7 days, not even 6 days.
6 days. 6 days and 10 hours.
And we are on fire with shit to talk about.
Literally.
But I did want to give a shout out. Let's go. Kansas City Chiefs are playing in the playoffs today against the Buffalo Bills.
That's right.
So just giving a little shout out to the Chiefs. With that said, I'm sure all of you are rooting for them as well. Nicole, I know you said that we have some new countdowns today.
I have some new countdowns.
So hit me with them.
Okay, post-inauguration, 6 days and 10 hours.
Oh my, you know the hours. Yes. Are we going to have the hours every time?
Sure, I'll bookmark this page.
Okay, beautiful. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah, 6 days, 10 hours, and 11 minutes.
Indeed. It is. Yep.
We are also 645 days away from the 2026 midterms.
Okay,
it's a long
645
ways, but it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine.
But it's not, 700. We are less than 2 years.
Yeah, that's exactly
right. I'm hopeful. So let's eye on the prize, girl. Eye on the prize.
Yes, 100%. Okay. Yes. I'm bookmarking these pages right now so I don't forget every podcast going forward.
Okay. Let's start with, you know how with countdowns, a lot of times there's like an OSHA countdown that's like how many days since an accident?
Oh, yes. We literally have those at work. Yeah. Accident-free days. Yes.
We also need to have a Nazi salute-free day. Because let's just say that the United States, since the inauguration, cannot say they are 0 days without a Nazi salute.
At an inauguration, no less.
At an inauguration, no less. To your point, other people, I'm sure, are Nazi saluting at their house. But at an inauguration, at a, governmental event.
Paid for by your federal tax dollars.
Indeed. So during the inauguration, we saw Elon Musk, the shadow president, give a heartfelt, and I'm not going to do it now because my family is German, so 9999999. However, he gave his own version of a very clear Nazi salute. And I'm hearing twice, yes, once to the front and once to the back.
Make sure the whole place saw it.
That's right. You said that yesterday he came out with I'm going to call it a tweet.
23rd.
Okay. The 23rd. Sorry. Yeah. What was his response?
So bear in mind that right after all of it happened, he said, shit. He didn't have anything to say about it. He wasn't going to defend it. He wasn't going to, speak
and
on
a bunch of people came out and were like, well, he's autistic. And so this is why
Go
this
fuck
happens,
yourself.
What a goddamn, horrible.
I know autistic people that are not out here Nazi saluting the shit out of everyone.
That's exactly right. I know no autistic. I have never, let's just say I've never encountered a person who has given me an actual Nazi salute. No. But specifically, yes, an autistic
person. Let's not make autistic people.
That's right. I know Trumpers who I've never seen Nazi salute. So this
at
is
least not yet.
True. Yeah. That's true.
Yeah. I mean, the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers be doing it every day, all day.
That's true. But thank God, at least as far as I know, I don't know any of those with, who knows? Yeah. Okay. So what was his response?
So this was 2 days after his salute. Don't say Hess to Nazi accusations. Some people will Goebbels anything down. Stop goring your enemies. His pronouns would have been he, Himmler. Bet you did not see that coming. A little Nazi pun for you. Now, here's what pisses me off.
He's right. I didn't see it coming.
The ADL denounced that post on X after telling everyone the day of the salute to, quote, take a deep breath, give the benefit of the doubt about the awkward gesture, and give each other a little bit of grace. And that's because the ADL came under huge fire for not denouncing that shit immediately. You're the supposed to be the guard stop for this kind of shit. And
Yep.
you didn't denounce it the day that it happened. But now that he's putting Nazi puns out here on X, now you got a problem with it, and we're all supposed to think you give a shit.
I will say that like that seems real bad.
You know how, I mean, okay, so I know a lot about World War II because I grew up with a father who was a psycho about world history.
We joke all the time that my father loved like the all Nazi channel. It's like, oh Jesus, the all Nazi channel's on again. And I have a kid that loves like World War II as well, and is very.
I've read Mein Kampf, like yes, all the things.
Yes,
I clearly not a poet like Elon Musk. I would not be able to come up with this little poetry pun that he has done here. But the fact that he was able to tie specific Nazis who sat shoulder to shoulder with Hitler during the extermination of Jews is interesting to me. Like, you don't get, and he's also supporting the AfD in Germany right now. He gave a speech at some big rally on yesterday, supporting the AfD, which is the far right party right now in Germany. So you can't tell me you don't have sympathies.
Right. To your point, I actually think Elon Musk is a goddamn Nazi. At this point, I don't know, but it is true. I did not see that coming at all, that we would try and make a joke out of it. But what it does show me is that we don't have the proper like acknowledgement and respect for our history to say this is inappropriate. Like we all joke about too soon. Like, is this too soon?
Right.
It's too soon.
Well,
Elon,
yesterday,
even if this was intended as a joke, even if this would, your Nazi salute was an accident and your response was intended as a joke, read the fucking room, dumbass.
Yeah.
Like this is the thing.
You think that your actions have no consequences.
Which they don't.
Yeah.
That's what the reality is. They don't. And what kills me is like, this is where everyone's like, oh, he's so smart. He's so smart. He's not smart. He's never built a company. He's not smart. None of his like things that have come to fruition are from his mind. He literally is not like the smartest man in the room.
A genius. No. And when he was at the thing in Germany for the AfD party yesterday, he said to them, like, people today should not be held responsible for what their grandfathers and great-grandfathers did. We need to quit living in the past and move forward. No one's asking you to live in the past. We're asking you, just like with our civil rights movement in this country and the history of slavery in this country, you can't fucking heal from and move forward from things you're refusing to acknowledge and have an open, honest conversation about. Right. That's what this is about.
Right. Well, and we still see evidence of the horrific events that happen, right? Exactly to your point, same as the civil rights movement. It's not like we had this one horrible scenario where we persecuted Jews, gay people, minorities, the whole thing, and now that's over and everything's fine. Yes, I wholeheartedly agree. Let's not live in the past. With that said, to your exact point, you have to acknowledge that it fucking happened. And if you can't acknowledge that it happened, that's a fucking problem. Are you kidding me? Okay, I don't want to stay here too long.
Yes, because we have so much. Yes.
Because we have so much. But it's interesting because the genius, the Nazi genius, Trump is inaugurated, and during his first several hours, we established Doge, of which Musk, of course, is running. Yes. However, there was a change at the top of Doge.
Yeah, we had a little bit of a what is that called? Like a
little shakeup. A little shakeup.
Yeah.
Changes. Okay.
Yeah.
So his partner in crime, Ramaswamy, quit.
Oh, Vivek.
Old Vivek. He quit. He quit because he has decided that he's going to run for office.
Yeah.
And Nicole has the insider scoop. What have you discovered, Miss Nicole?
So what I have discovered is that there was huge infighting between Musk and Ramaswamy. Disagreements over, I know, shocking, right?
Shocked.
Just shooketh with this. Yes. That disagreements on how they were going to cut this wasteful spending in the government, all these different things. And Trump and Musk wanted him out. So out he went.
Shot.
Out on his ass.
I mean, in all fairness, while he has been relatively good at defending their positions, it's not like he's the one that is trying to be the face of Doge. And so and we know that if he doesn't like give blind just total loyalty to either Trump or Musk or both, he was going to leave anyway. Like this is not a surprise at all.
No.
We saw this one coming from a mile away.
Yes. Good while it lasted,
yes.
Ramaswamy.
That's right. Nice while it lasted. People know your name now, which is probably different than what it was. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. Okay.
Yes.
Speaking of high-level officials at the inauguration.
Yeah.
No fewer than 6. So, John, I don't know if this is accurate or not, but Jon Stewart said representatives or people representing 20% of the world's wealth attended Donald Trump's inauguration.
I would believe
you had the leader of Google, Facebook. Of course, you had Jeff Bezos there. TikTok. You had Elon Musk there. I mean, it's a lot. There were a lot. There was a lot of money at inauguration. What did that surprise you at all? Like I knew that we were going to see Mark Zuckerberg there. I knew we were going to see again, Elon Musk, obviously. But to see the Google CEO, I was surprised. I was also kind of surprised that Jeff Bezos was there. Although he is literally like gunning to be Lex Luthor, right?
Like, right. I mean, like he's running, who is it? Is it the Post or the Times?
Right. So that's the other thing is that Jon
and censoring the shit out of it.
So Jon Stewart pointed out that it's 20% of the world's wealth and 100% of our information. You and I talked last week about the TikTok ban.
That's
about
it, literally.
How hard, right. And so between our social media and the message, this is where the Republican Party especially has beat the Democrats hand fucking down.
And this is why it's so scary.
That's right. They control the message so much that like I'm starting to worry that I'm going to become one of those goddamn conspiracy theorists and be like, do your own research. Do your own research. Like make sure you're reading these articles. Make sure you're reading this information.
And that you're getting that from an independent news source. Yeah. So my cousin, who I love dearly, that lives in Kentucky, had tried to send me a TikTok about mastering the throat punch for people that throw the Nazi salute at you.
Nice.
And so I couldn't watch it because in my rage, for those of you that will recall the previous podcast, I had deleted it from my phone. So she had to save it to her phone, send it to me as a file, whatever. So in me telling her that I had been in a rage a week ago and deleted it off my phone, she told me they were already censoring it as soon as they brought it back up. Like searches for Trump, searches for certain things were only pulling up right-wing supporters. I saw something yesterday that I have not been able to verify that said that on Facebook, they are no longer allowing people to unfollow the POTUS account.
Well,
the vice presidential account. I blocked them.
Well, some people even said that they hadn't friended, but
they weren't following. See, that's the thing. It showed up on my feed and on the day of the inauguration. And I, because we don't have fact checkers anymore, made sure to send that shit in as bullying and harassment and as fake information to the fact checkers at Facebook. And then I blocked it. And I'm like, why is this? I assumed that it was showing up because at one point I had followed the POTUS account and the vice president account. But I don't think that that's necessarily true because I don't remember it saying that those posts were coming from the official POTUS accounts. I blocked them the day of the inauguration after I submitted them to the fact checkers.
Good for you. Well, I will say that I heard some noise about this. I don't know that that's true. And again, I'm trying to really, really assuage my conspiracy
not go down the rabbit
theory
hole.
Tendencies. Right. Exactly. That, that we literally have like fallen into a Nazi Germany
dystopian.
Right, exactly. But I do I have concerns about so much of our information now being run and controlled by these people. Tim Cook was at the inauguration. I cried Tim Cook was at the inauguration.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yes, and the guy that runs TikTok was there, but we knew
we knew he was gonna.
was going to happen.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how some of these like really high profile people, how their policies and their actions change. You know, I want to believe that at least like while a lot of these people have capitalistic tendencies, obviously they're there to make money, but they still have like a sliver of hope in their hearts that, you know, things are, that they're not just out to make as much money as they can without like murdering everyone.
Right.
But at this point, I have no faith that that's the case. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. To me, this will be the big, this will be something to watch. Like how does tech bros, how does the technology industry really coincide with what's happening politically? In the 80s, we saw religion and politics become 100% mingled.
Yep.
So if now in the new era, it's technology and politics mingled, it'll be interesting to see how that works. And what I'm really upset about is the fact that like Republicans won the religion and politics.
And they played the long fucking game when it came to specific.
And we see it now.
Agendas.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So this is what scares me about technology. Speaking of religion.
Yes, I think I know where you're going with this.
So the national prayer, you know, the inauguration, they had the national prayer, whatever it's called.
National breakfast.
That's it. And so I want to talk about Bishop Buddy. Yeah. Because so she got up and she, of course, gave her speech, which Trump, of course, called boring. And Seth Meyers hilariously is like, dude, it's church. It's supposed to be fucking boring. That's how church is.
And he was falling asleep during it. Right. Melania kept nudging him.
Hello.
Yeah.
But at the end of her speech, she did ask for mercy. Mercy for the people.
Empathy.
Right?
And
empathy. Yes. That's right. Things that Jesus literally taught. Like things straight from the Bible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, and this is supposed to be relevant to the Christian that you and your followers profess yourselves to be.
That's right.
This is not radical.
Empathy. So it's not at all radical, and it should not be considered left-leaning. Empathy and mercy on people should not be considered left-leaning.
Ever.
And yet the entire right response has been to absolutely eviscerate this person.
Well, and she's been receiving death threats.
Because
that's MAGA's go-to, right? Like, we're going to just go on social media and
Okay. And I have heard it pronounced both ways on the news. Bud and Buddy. Which one is it?
I don't know.
Have you heard it, Bud?
I just no. Well, when I've seen her on, I don't remember if I really paid attention.
Okay.
I just said Bud, so I'm not really sure which one is right.
Okay, I'm not either. So for anyone that's watching this, for the 6 people watching this, if we're pronouncing it incorrectly, I apologize.
Yeah.
But I've heard it, as Buddy. So anyway, we'll call her Bishop Mary Ann because we can call her Bishop Mary Ann and we're good with that, right?
Yes.
Okay, but so she was absolutely eviscerated by the right side for pleading for mercy. Of course, like, you know, her response has been, I mean, it has
exactly. I'm not going to apologize. She flat out said, "I will not apologize for asking you to have empathy,
mercy on the people that are scared,
and awareness of how your policies and your speech affect people."
So, to your point, there is nothing so clear to me in the difference of how the two sides are approaching things.
Yes.
So when people tell me, give them a chance, let's work together, which in all fairness, I've gotten rid of those people because I'm like, you dumb. But for anyone that does come to me and is like, work together, there is nothing so clear to me as one side saying, hey, people in this country are scared right now.
Yeah.
So please have some mercy, have some empathy for those people. And the other side to say, go fuck yourself. That is woke propaganda and you're a goddamn, you deserve to die because you said that. Like literally, that's the responses. Those are the
obvious.
responses.
I mean, I'm not real, as a heathen, I'm not real up on my bishops. So I did some research into Bishop Mary Ann. I did not realize She was the one who interred Matthew Shepard's ashes into the National Cathedral.
So
Because his parents have never been able to put a resting place out for fear that his final resting place would be desecrated by bigots.
yep.
And they reached out to her, and she allowed them to inter his ashes in the Washington National Cathedral, and she oversaw that ceremony.
Yeah.
Like, this
So
is who she is as a human, as a bishop, as
that's
a
right.
religious scholar. This
That's
is
right.
who she is.
Yes, and I think I was watching. I can't remember who I was watching, but they're like, it would not surprise me if Trump was like, throw him out.
Right.
Reverse all of this and throw him
Well,
out, because that is literally like the approach that their side takes to everything. Is
yes.
if you even say the word sympathy, empathy,
Mhm.
whatever,
Mhm.
you are left leaning, woke, liberal, and
Yes.
everything you do is wrong.
And
Like,
how do I get you fired even though I have no jurisdiction over you?
yeah. Yes. Like, and then for him to call for a public apology. A public apology for what?
It's the micro penis, girl. It's the
Yes.
microscopic
Yes.
penis speaking. Like, you're out here on your social media platform after midnight, after the day after this happens, having your little fucking toddler temper tantrum
Yep.
because you want a national apology from the bishop because you're
Yes.
being asked to have empathy for people who are
what?
scared.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't
Because your
understand.
feelings are hurt, but you're part of the fuck your feelings crowd.
Right. But I still, like, if I say I'm sorry, I at least need to be able to point to something and be like, to asking you to just have some
sympathy,
mercy on people.
to act like the Christian that you say you are.
Yes. So for all those right wingers that voted for this guy, this is who you voted for.
Yeah.
What do you think? How do you think Jesus would feel about this? What?
Yeah.
Like, literally look at your WWJD goddamn bracelets and ask yourself, what would Jesus do?
Then my thing, how do you reconcile your faith with
That's
this
right.
motherfucker?
Exactly. I do not understand that.
How do you reconcile that?
I do not understand that. And so this is one of those things that I'm just, and so there was a Gandhi quote that's something like, I love your Christ, I hate your Christians.
Yes.
This is it. This is that example. And this is why so many of us, myself included, grew up in a household that embraced at least Christian teachings, because there is supposed to be love and joy and caring and love thy neighbor and all of these things coming out of these Christian values. But because of the way that Christians have made Christian values be reflected on them, it makes me want to turn away from religion. So just so you know, all of you evangelicals who want those of us to turn to Christian values, it's your people that are turning people like me away.
That's right. That's exactly right.
I used to go to church. I've been baptized. My grandfather was a fucking minister. My grandfather was a minister. I grew up in a house with religion. Not, my parents weren't overly religion, but we went to a church that had a minister who used to sing Joy to the World all year long because he loved that message of joy. And it made you feel good. You left church feeling good. And that is like the religion and the church that I can embrace. And at least, like, whether you believe in a God or not, you can at least embrace this ideal of
the message
of love each other, take care of each other, whatever. Donald Trump are making me hate religion right there.
Well,
like, that is what does it.
Yeah. And that's what, I mean, I grew up with grandparents that were very religious. Pastor would come over once a month for Sunday lunch, like all the things. But as I got older, and especially once I got into high school, I started having huge fundamental issues with organized religion. And it has been the mainstay of my adult life ever since. Like, I don't believe that I need to show up at a brick and mortar building in order to have a connection with a higher being. I don't think I need to stand there and let somebody preach at me their interpretation of the Bible to tell me how to live my life. But those are all my issues. And this is a massive reason, you're exactly right, why people will not step into a church.
Religion.
Yes.
Because even if you don't believe in gay rights, because you believe that the church is telling you there's no gay rights, regardless of that, Jesus would still tell you, have some mercy, have some care, have some empathy for these people, whether you support them or not, at least, like, have some mercy on them. And that is such a left-leaning, woke, liberal stance that these people are like, absolutely not, and I will kill anyone that says
Yeah.
to do that.
To do
Okay.
yeah.
If Jesus were alive today, he would be killed.
Yeah.
Speaking of this idea about gay rights, because of course that was such a big thing, calls and messages to the Trevor Project, a crisis line to the Trevor Project,
Yeah.
increased by 33% on Inauguration Day.
Oh
That's
my
how
God.
scared people are, which leads us into our conversation about the executive orders. These fucking executive orders. I have a couple of other items on my list, but
Yeah.
this is such an important piece
Yeah.
of what happened this week that I feel like it's kind of time to talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
So the executive orders came fast and furious. We knew they would. Trump said they would. Nothing about this is surprising. A lot of executive orders were around, obviously, detainees. And the southern border. We had things like declaring the southern border a crisis because now all of a sudden with the new president, it's a crisis.
Right.
We had a bunch of executive orders around. One of the interesting ones was rescinding a bunch of like the Medicare, Medicaid services to like, and I know that we're not at the
Reducing your
point that
cost of your prescription drugs.
right. I know we're not at the point where we are completely dismantling a lot of those things, but it's like we're putting in like
But we're on our
what's
way
leading
there.
up. That's right. And so all of the old people that voted for Trump are about to get their drug prices increased, and some of them are not going to be able to even qualify for Medicare and Medicaid like they have in the past. So that's awesome.
Right.
16.
Can I say this really quick?
Yeah.
I don't have all 16 of them, but in the Truth Out reporting, because I tried to be like you and I tried to put my cite my sources.
Good for you. We're sourcing people. I love it.
So in the Truth Out reporting, 16 of the first 26 executive orders mirror Project 2025.
So I heard that as well.
Russell Vought, who is the former VP of Heritage Foundation's sister organization, Heritage Action for America, is the Trump nominee for the Office of Management and Budget and wrote the section of Project 2025 on the executive office of the President of the U.S. So I need everyone to understand, and maybe our viewers already do, but I need everybody to understand that the entire time he was on the campaign trail and he was saying, Project 2025 is not me. I have nothing to do with it, nothing to do with it. This says differently. We knew differently. We knew he was full of shit. But this is proof that
this is their agenda. We know this is their agenda.
Withdrawing us from the WHO.
Yes. So immigration and U.S. borders. So now we designate the invasion across the southern border of the United States. We can allow U.S. military service members to act as immigration and border enforcement. So that will allow the Reserve and the National Guard to start working on deporting people, which love that for us.
Yeah.
Stop refugee arrivals and suspend the U.S. refugee admission program. Pending a 90-day review and recommendation from Homeland Security.
Yes. This infuriates me. I did some research into this refugee stuff. This fucking infuriates me.
So talk through what this actually means for people, because it's absolutely fucking infuriating.
So the refugee process, bear in mind, these people had already been approved. So there is a clear difference between refugees and migrants.
Yes.
Refugees are forced to flee their home country due to either a serious risk of human rights violations or persecution in their home country.
Yep.
So they also have a right to international protection because they have to meet those two criteria.
That's right.
So refugees specifically seeking to come to the U.S. undergo a rigorous vetting process. They must register with the UN High Commissioner for Refugees for an in-depth background check and assessment. They go through a pre-screening with the Resettlement Support Center, have biographic and biometric checks done, are interviewed by the USCIS, undergo medical and security checks, and attend cultural orientation classes to prepare them for adjusting to life in the U.S. Like, they aren't here yet. These are people that have to apply for, have to be approved, undergo all of this stuff, and are then approved to relocate to the United States. These people had already been approved, and Trump's like, fuck you.
Yep.
You can't come now. Doesn't matter. Right. You've already done all this vetting. This is not a southern border thing. This is people from any country that is fleeing persecution in their home country and has to be able to prove it.
So, and this is the thing that I think is really painful is that these, to your point, these people were approved. They had their
Yes.
travel ready to go. They
Yes.
were ready to flee, and now they have been stopped. How absolutely
Devastating.
devastating does
Yeah.
that have to be? And it shows that like this is the mercy that we're talking about. It's not
This is
just
what Bishop Marion
that's
was
right.
talking
This
about.
is an example. Like have mercy on these people that already like if you want to
Yeah.
stop any future approvals while you're review whatever, but to
Yes.
actually like stop all even after they've been approved to say no, never mind, hang on a second is absolutely devastating to people.
Yeah.
Devastating to
Yeah.
people. All right. Birthright citizenship.
Yes.
We are redefining birthright citizenship under the 14th Amendment, asserting that a child born in the U.S. is not a citizen if the mother does not have legal immigration status or is in the country legally, but only temporarily, and two, the father is not a U.S. citizen or permanent resident. I read a tweet that was all about how, like, that means Melania's mother and father were not birthright citizens, and Trump's mother's mother and father were not birthright citizens. So I'm really hoping he ends up fucking himself. There has already been a judge that has said, put a halt
No
on
dice.
this. That's right. This isn't like right. With that said, this will be, in my mind, a big fight. Of
Yeah, huge.
right. It's
And the
in the
14th
Constitution.
yeah, and the 14th Amendment was created because of slavery.
Yes. Yes.
So again, know
So
your history.
that's right. I'll be interested to see how this ends up. Of course, the ACLU is all over this and
Yes.
absolutely thinks this is insane, which um I think what kills me primarily is that when you think about birthright citizenship, in my mind, you really think about like what was the intention of our founding fathers? Like we came here, all of us as immigrants, right? Like
Mhm.
we knew that our ancestors knew that like their parents weren't born in America. And so
Right.
like that was the whole like beginnings of the country in and of itself. So to call yourself a patriot and then to be like we're shutting all of that down is absolutely, I mean, to be honest, if we go back and we retro all of us now, the only people that are American citizens are Native Americans for fuck's sake. So
Exactly.
this idea that this is how we are going, and what really bothers me is since we're not actually changing the Constitution at this point, we're redefining what the Constitution says.
Hmm.
I think the Supreme Court will end up upholding this as the change,
As an
right?
addendum
That's
to
right.
the 14th Amendment. Hmm.
That's right. That's right. So I this will be another one that I really feel like is going to be a big deal.
And
Uh,
I think
like
as long as it takes some time in the courts, obviously it's not going to change anything right now.
no, which is why how many days do we have until the midterm election?
Oh my God, 600 and
Right.
some odd. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
All right. Other ones that we've got are like requiring collection of DNA samples and fingerprints from immigration detainees. At the end of the day, like I'm not as concerned about immigrants that uh, I'm always concerned anytime fingerprints and DNA are instituted. We have been hearing more and more and more about how DNA is not reliable and how we've been
Mm-hmm.
using DNA for like figuring people out and finding people. And it would not surprise me if Trump is creating some sort of DNA registry, right? With that said, I'm not going to go down those
Mm-hmm.
conspiracy theory plans.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we're going to start building the wall again.
Eliminating DEI.
Okay. So this is the other
They
one.
laid
Yes.
off. Yeah. How many? What was it? I don't even remember. I don't even have the number.
So to your
Put them on
point,
paid leave.
they have decided that we are going to get rid of all DEI in the government. So they gave executive branch department agencies 60 days to eliminate diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, including all chief diversity officer jobs, equity action plans, and environmental justice positions. The agencies have to give the White House Office of Management and Budget and Accounting any previous DEI efforts, including the names of relevant DEI contractors and DEI grant recipients. And we're terminating a 6-year-old executive order setting anti-discrimination requirements for government agencies and contractors. Love that journey for us. I love that journey for us. Of course, the big one for me is the LGBTQ rights, the transgender rights,
Yeah,
the establishment of
hold on. The defending women from gender ideology extremism and restoring biological truth to the federal government.
Yeah, so we are now requiring U.S. government to recognize two genders
Two
only,
genders.
male,
And you can't
female, and
use that word
passports.
anymore.
What?
Gender. You are not allowed to use that word in any federal documents, on any federal website at all. You have to use the word sex.
Sex. That's right. Mandate that all federal civil rights and labor law be interpreted and enforced with the understanding that sex is not a synonym for and does not include the concept of gender identity. Dissolve the White House Gender Policy Council and repeal Department of Education guidelines on Title IX concerning transgender rights. Love that journey for us. So I told you before, I want to have a whole episode on, I feel like, Title IX on transgender rights, because I know a lot of people who are left leaning who have conflicting viewpoints on who should be allowed in women's sports for colleges. That is a different conversation.
Yes.
And I get that there's a whole conversation around that. I have my feelings, but I recognize the fact that my feelings, it's, to me, that's not as much a left right argument. That's like, in all fairness, it's a younger people and older people argument. That's how it feels to me.
Yeah.
But that's a whole different conversation. But revoking any type of recognition of different genders, of transgender people, of people who are exploring genders is absolutely devastating, and it's terrifying to me.
And I saw a post on social media where someone had reposted Caitlyn Jenner's post on X, praising Trump on the day of the inauguration. You know, she's just so happy because she's a huge Trump supporter, has been since Trump 1.0. And somebody commented on her post and said, "That's funny because he just said the government has to call you Bruce."
That's right, motherfucker. That's right. That's exactly correct.
And so I'm like, I will never understand the fear mongering around our trans brothers and sisters. I will never understand the fear mongering of the queer community in general. I don't know what you're so afraid of. I don't know if you're afraid they're going to make you dress better, if they're going to help you with your makeup better. I don't know what you're scared. Because it's not fear. You're a fucking asshole. You're not afraid of them.
Right.
I don't know. It makes my blood boil. It makes my fucking blood boil.
To your point, it's not actual fear. It's control. It's hatred. It's control and hatred. I hate those. Do you know that Mark was out, took the dog out the other day, and he was in a onesie, because I am weird like that and buy my husband a onesie. And he was in a onesie.
And they're comfortable.
Yeah, they are. And a truck full of kids drove by him and called him an effing F word. Straight out. Like, the hatred is real. They were not scared of him. They
weren't afraid. So that's what Trump has done since the very beginning. Made it okay to
scream,
say,
effing.
This is my First Amendment right. That's true. It is your First Amendment right.
Yep.
But you are not protected within your First Amendment right from the consequences of your actions. Right. So granted, it would be assault. But if I decide that I'm going to punch you in the fucking face for saying some shit like that to me, because I'm willing to go to jail over it, and I know the consequences of my actions, that's what's going to happen. Like, I just don't, this whole thing on the right of like, everybody needs to calm down. Things shouldn't be so violent. You're literally and then you say this shit.
That's right. Because you know who these kids are. You know who their parents are. You know where they got this. Like, we all know.
Yeah.
That who they are and what they are. And so, So this is my thing is like, when you tell me that you are not inciting hate and not inciting violence, go fucking
It's the gaslighting. It's like what I put out on my Facebook post the day of the inauguration. Don't let them gaslight you. You know what you've seen. You know what you've heard. Don't allow them to lie to you and then to fucking believe it.
Yep. Okay, so LGBTQ brothers and sisters, we are here for you. We will give you a place. If you need a place,
we will be a sanctuary for you.
We will do what we can to try and be a sanctuary for you. But speaking of sanctuaries, of course, we're now like cutting funding for sanctuary cities. Yeah, love that journey for us. Other things that were big. We withdrew from the Paris Climate Accords.
Yep.
That was not surprising, but still, like,
did that
go
the first
fuck
time
yourself. We are now allowing Alaska to be just raped.
Drill, baby, drill.
Drill, baby, drill. He literally said those words. We are reviewing the U.S. Mexico Canada agreement, which love that.
I'm sorry, it's called the Gulf of America now.
It's called the Gulf of America, and it's called Mount McKinley now.
So I love how we can change names.
Yes.
Of locations and things, and but we can't have trans people.
And can I tell you that we're out to breakfast yesterday with my parents, and Mark says the words Gulf of America as much as he possibly can and as loud as he can, in hopes that some boomer is going to express solidarity with him about it so that he can yell at them. I'm like, you have to stop. Like, you have to stop.
See, sometimes when we're out in public, Jaime will make jokes about shit that we make inside this home. Yes. And I'm like, people don't know you're kidding. Shut the fuck up. I don't want people to think that we're goddamn MAGA over here. We are the farthest thing from MAGA.
Right. Or if you are going to incite a conversation that's going to turn violent, because we know these people want to
be violent. Fight. Yeah, that's all they want to do. Yeah.
We established the External Revenue Service. So we have the IRS. Now we have the ERS.
But we're going to get rid of the IRS.
I know. I know that. And we are pulling out of the World Health Organization.
Yes. RFK Jr. is going to get confirmed next week. So, like, we can't be part of the WHO. That's science-based. Don't be ridiculous. You're fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. We also reversed basically most of the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022. So that's awesome. We have not addressed egg prices.
We haven't addressed gas prices. We haven't addressed anything that's really affecting us.
We have asked for some reports from some internal White House whatevers, but we haven't actually addressed. So that'll be interesting. We made the Outer Continental Shelf ineligible for wind energy leases. Why?
Yeah, because the wind turbines cause cancer.
Right? Like,
you know this.
The wind turbines. Like, why are we so against the wind turbines?
Wind turbines. Because they cause cancer. Girl, if I could have a wind turbine in my backyard, I would. I'm fucking endlessly fascinated with those goddamn things.
Yes! So for anybody, we live in the Midwest. I have taken many drives to Colorado because there's not a lot of places right around here that you can drive to that you absolutely vacation in. Colorado happens to be one of them. The nighttime drives through Kansas with all the wind turbine
for
farms.
Miles.
Magical. It's magical.
When we would drive up to Northwest University in Maryville, there's wind turbine farms on the drive up there once you get past St. Joe. I am endlessly fucking fascinated by the wind turbines. I think they're the coolest fucking thing.
In all fairness, you had skin cancer, so it probably came from the wind turbines.
It probably did. Fuck the sun. It wasn't the tanning bed.
It wasn't the tanning bed. It was the wind
that I was in from the time I was 18 to 43.
Nope. It was the wind turbine.
That's Rick.
We've solved it.
Clearly. The wind turbine on my back fat back here because I stood in front of those fuckers with my shirt off all the time.
That's right. Fucking wind turbines. Okay. And we now have put on a federal hiring freeze.
Yes.
We have some exceptions, but we've put on a federal hiring freeze, and we're requiring all federal workers to return full-time to in-person work. Can I tell you, Democrats, if you are listening and you want to win the next election, please make remote work a Democratic ideology.
No shit.
Nobody wants to go back in except for these fucking rich, right-wing, crazy-ass techno-bro leaders, whatever, because they know that they can't do anything unless everyone else is in the office telling them what's going on.
Yeah.
They know that they have no worth if they're not sitting on the 18th. The 18th floor isn't the 18th floor if there aren't 17 floors of bugs to sit underneath them.
That's right.
So the only people that want to go back to work are these fuckers. Democrats. If you want to win, especially 100%. Our Gen Zers and alphas and the betas who are coming into the workforce, make remote work a democratic, not to mention the fact that it's better for the environment. We know that.
It's better for your health.
Right. The Venice canals cleared up when we all stayed goddamn home.
The smog in China.
That's right. So it's an environmental, and I'm telling you, It is something people believe in to their core.
Yeah, I mean, I work for a company that requires us to be in office 3 days a week. And I'm okay with it. Would I love 5 days a week? Sure, who wouldn't? But I drive. It's a 20-minute drive for me when I do have to go in the office. It's not a horrible drive, and I'll do it 3 days a week. It's fine. But if they came to us and said, "We now want you in office 5 days a week," I'm going to be pissed about it. I'm going to do it,
and I'm going to start looking for another job.
Yeah, like I'm going to be vocal about how pissed I am about it.
My company, I will tell you. Okay, I work for a company that's 100% remote. Thank you, Lord. Thank you to my CEO, because he's been adamant about we're going to keep remote work. With that said, of course, we've had like things to try and entice people to come into the office, whatever. And, it's great. One of my friends who I've worked with that I've known since we were in 6th grade. We've known each other forever. You know her well. She works
I thought about her when this came out.
She works for a company that works very closely with the government, and they are talking about bringing her in for 5 days a week.
And she's been there for a very long time.
More than 2 decades.
Yeah.
I consider her one of the smarter people I know, and I have begged her to come work
Yes.
for 20 years. For the first time, she has said to me, if there's a job opening, let me know. She's not committing, but for the first time, because to your point,
she's at least entertaining it.
She's at least entertaining it, because that's how much we hate the idea of going into the office 5 days a week. Well, it lowers efficiency. It lowers productivity. I know it does. I know that today I will be working on work at my home because I have my comfortable office and I'm in my clothes and whatever.
Yeah.
And so I can work and be comfortable in my environment. If I was
nobody's walking by your desk and stopping to talk to you about anything.
If I still had my desktop and still went into work 5 days a week, I'd be like, I'll take care of this tomorrow. Right.
Yeah. So and I know, even though I go in 3 days a week to my job, I am healthier
the days that you don't have to go in.
Well,
because you're not around people that are sick all the time,
that are sick and coughing and sneezing and doing all the fucking things. I mean, granted, I'm in there 3 days a week, but still, I have yet, knock on wood, to have a cold this winter.
There are 1,000 reasons why working remotely is better. So I'm just saying, Democrats, I'm telling you now, make this a central tenet, and you'll be shocked at how efficient and how effective that'll be.
Yeah.
On top of that, okay, I don't want to get down a rabbit hole, but on top of that, of course, now we have this career senior executive review across executive branch of career senior executive service officials. Make it easier to fire, demote, or reassign those federal employees straight out of Project 2025, right? Like that's straight out of Project 2025. Make it easier to fire federal workers by reinstituting an executive order from the first Trump administration, which add provisions that state federal employees and applicants are not required to personally or politically support the current president. That's been overturned. So now they must faithfully implement administration policies, and any failure to do so is grounds for dismissal, which at the end of the day, I get the idea of like, you have to follow my rules, because when you have a boss-employee relationship, it is what it is. But let's be honest,
that's not what this is.
Slope. That's right.
This is fealty to the dear leader.
Like, right. Oh, I see you posting on Facebook that you don't agree. Now you're fucking fired. And then formally nominate cabinet and sub-cabinet officers, name many, blah, 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 which we've seen that. Speaking of the cabinet.
Well, and we had the firing of the inspector generals, which is illegal.
So we've had some personnel movement this week. Besides our Doge co-leader leaving us.
Yes.
Yeah, we've had some firings, and we've had some hirings this week. So talk about the firings that, as you so eloquently put it, are fucking illegal.
The inspector generals?
Yes, the inspector generals.
So Reuters was reporting that Trump fired 17 initially, I believe it's up to 18 now, inspector generals, which are independent positions that conduct audits and investigations into allegations of waste, fraud, and the abuse of power within our government. They were fired within the state, defense, and transportation agencies. The notices were given via email and have violated federal law. The law requires the president to give Congress a substantive rationale, including detailed and case-specific reasons for the dismissals 30 days in advance. These positions are presidentially appointed and Senate confirmed, which is why he cannot arbitrarily fire them.
Right.
And in full disclosure, in 22, Congress strengthened protections for inspector generals, making it harder to replace them with handpicked officials and requiring additional explanations from a president for their removal. Biden removed the inspector general over the United States Railroad Retirement Board after an investigation found that that official had created a hostile work environment. So it's not unheard of for a president to fire an inspector general. What is unheard of is for them to do it in the way this dumbass has done it.
Right,
Because
an
it's
email.
illegal to do it the way that he did it.
Yes. Well, and to your point, like,
and that's because he doesn't want any oversight.
That's right, because that's really what the inspector generals are there to do, is to give some oversight. Now, if the intention there is because you're going to create some of your own oversight with your own people, I do understand why you would want to do it, but to your point, just do it this is what I don't understand. Just do it the right way. Just
because he loves to fire people.
That's right. You just this.
I'm not waiting 30 days. I'm not giving you an explanation. I'm the fucking
not going to present
president.
it to anyone else. Right.
Yeah.
I'm the president. I get to make all the decisions. And this is the whole attitude of this administration that absolutely fucking drives me crazy.
Yes.
Okay. With that said, we have Pete Hegseth.
We have a new DOD. Let me get to that part of my notes.
All right. So the vice president had to break a tie.
Which I was shocked about. I did not expect Mitch McConnell to do what he did.
So I'll be honest. Tell everyone what you found, that this is the only second?
The second time. This is the second time in American history that a cabinet member has required the vice president to come in and break a tie. Because typically cabinet nominees are not hugely controversial. They usually have bipartisan support in some way, probably more on one side than the other, but there's still a crossing of lines where the other side will vote for the nominee. There were no Democrats that voted for him because there's obvious huge concerns here.
Yeah.
So he required Vance to have to come in and break the tie.
So what was the other one?
The only other cabinet nominee to require a vice president to break the tie. I thought this was going to be like during Nixon. Like way back. Trump 1.0. Miss Betsy DeVos for the education secretary.
Can we say, if you are in any of the same categories as Betsy DeVos
and Pete Hegseth.
That's right. And then Pete Hegseth, like, you're in a bad category.
Yeah.
Like, it's bad. To your point, I was shocked Mitch McConnell voted that way to not. I was shocked. Like, to me, it seems like Mitch McConnell was like, just toe the party line. But what this will do, and I'm curious if Trump is absolutely fucking fuming over this. Like, no, I'm really curious.
Well, I shouldn't say that. He came out this morning, when asked about it, it came out this morning that he said, I don't care what McConnell has to say, winning is winning.
So that's what I'm saying, is like, clearly, to your point, he won. But we've seen established Republicans that have gone against Trump been absolutely eviscerated. So,
and he threatened that to them from the very beginning.
Exactly, as did Musk. Like, we've heard it we've heard it over and over and over again. So what I'll be interested to see, so Mitch McConnell has been arguably the most powerful Republican in my lifetime. Even more so, I would say, than like George Bush Sr., Ronald Reagan.
I mean, powerful enough that he stole a Supreme Court pick from President Obama. Let's not fucking forget that.
That's exactly correct. Like, Mitch McConnell has been so powerful that he has run the table for years at this point.
And then change the rules again for Trump.
So it'll be interesting to see if there ends up being a power struggle, in my mind, between Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump as who still owns the party, because it will go a long way. Because to me, the party is still a battle of MAGA versus just state rights, capital, traditional Republicans. And this is definitely Mitch McConnell, and this is definitely Trump. And so will this define what the party does going forward?
I will be interested to see how long Hegseth lasts, because I want to remind everybody He's now in charge of 1.3 million active duty military personnel and almost a million civilian personnel. He will be overseeing an $850 billion budget, the largest budget he has ever seen, per his own testimony, is $16 million. And I want everyone to know that he has been accused and verifiably pushed out of the 2 nonprofits because he mishandled funds. So he's going to fuck this up in royal fashion.
He has to. So I very much have this feeling. So,
but good news, he won't be drinking now that he got the job, because he said he'd stop drinking if he got the job.
Do we think that's true?
No. And he's not going to quit cheating on his wives. He's not going to quit sexually,
He might stop going on air drunk. And he might stop throwing axes at people. But other than that, there's no fucking way that man's going to stop drinking. He loves it.
No. And he's not going to quit sexually assaulting people.
That's right. And as a secretary, so to your point, like, this is almost a referendum that it doesn't matter what you do. You can, so
as long as you're a white man.
That's right. As long as you're a white man. And
you don't have to have any kind of experience.
If you are a Trump ally, so that's the last thing that I kind of wanted to talk about today. First of all, we saw the January 6th pardon. Everyone's been pardoned, including people that
sentences commuted.
That's right. Including people who actively fought the fucking police.
This is what infuriates me about it.
It does me too. So all these back the blue fuckers, all you back the blue people, what do you have to say now?
Well,
all of you people.
That's the thing, right? Because the last podcast we were talking about, and I think it is one of the amendments that he signed this time, that any assault on a law enforcement officer is an immediate jail sentence. And we had the conversation about, but what if I don't know they're an officer when I assault them because they're not in uniform?
That's right.
He had said all along he would look at the cases, and that no one who had physically assaulted a police officer would be given a pardon. And then he was like, oh my God, because we all know he doesn't read. We all know that he doesn't have any kind of attention to detail. He was like, fuck it, we're just doing all of them.
I know. You saw him signing those executive orders like an idiot. And you put something in front of him, he signed it.
Yeah. And I feel so bad.
And then, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
No, I'm so mad that I keep interrupting you. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead.
It's okay. So I also, I have lots of shit on Enrico Tarrio and fucking Stuart Rhodes being inside the Capitol the day after he was released from jail, talking to a lawmaker, talking to the media, go fuck yourself. But I feel so very sad for Michael Fanone, who has been on MSNBC repeatedly. His mother is being harassed. She had someone show up at her home yesterday, threw feces at her home, which I don't understand their fascination with feces. They also wiped it all over the halls of Congress when they were in there on January 6th.
I know.
It's a very weird obsession. But I feel very bad for these officers who are continuously having to relive this trauma now that this has happened. And I need everybody to remember, because I looked this up because I couldn't remember it all, that, let me look, hold on. We had one police officer, which was Sicknick, die the day after the attack, from his injuries. We had 4 officers die by suicide in the days and months after the riot. And, hundreds were injured. And the fact that, because Jamie had to explain this to me because I didn't know this, now that their sentences have been commuted and or pardoned, they are no longer on any kind of list that prevents them from buying a firearm. When you have a federal conviction, you are not allowed to buy a firearm. And now that goes away. So it makes them even more dangerous.
Love this journey for us, which at the end of the day, they could buy firearms anyway. We all know.
That's true. They all have the Homeboy Network, but now they can do it legally.
Exactly. But to your point, now they can do it legally, and they're not on any other list that is being watched or whatever. So I love this journey for us. To your point, I cannot fathom knowing there are people that took violent response to just people doing their jobs and being like, it's fine. So a reporter from CNN, and I can't remember who it was, but they were interviewing him, and in one of his, like, right after he signed a bunch of these, and they asked him, like, are should anybody that has done damage to a police officer, should they have been pardoned? And he's like, no, it's bad. And then they're like, okay, but you just pardoned, da da da, and
Pardoned.
he goes, we'll look at it. And the guy's like,
Too
what do you
late.
mean you look at it? It's too late. You pardon the motherfucker. Like, it's
Yeah.
done. This is how Trump approaches everything. And it's
Mhm.
what shows us that
And it's
things
the
like Project
gaslighting.
2025 are a reality, because
Mhm.
it's not Trump making these decisions in any way,
Mm-mm.
shape, or form. He wants you to believe that. That is not the case.
Because just
Someone's
like
just,
Musk, he's not
that's right.
smart.
That's
The
right.
man's not
That's right.
smart. Just because he's put his name on a bunch of hotels does not make him smart. The
No, he's
man's not
bankrupted what,
intelligent.
6 companies?
And
His
a
college
fucking
is shut down. His
casinos.
casinos have all been right. So he's
He's
clearly
not
not a smart
intelligent.
person. No.
He
So,
has
but
no
at the end of
grasp
the
of the
day,
details.
that's right. He's a con man, and he's been able to con all
Yes.
these people, and
It's a
he
grift.
is continuing to be able to con man. It's just he knows who to ally himself with, which in this case is people like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and
Mm-hmm.
Mark Zuckerberg and whatever. And they're going to keep him rich, which fine, it is what it is, because they want to keep themselves rich. But at the end of the day, like, you need to realize that none of what he is putting in, what is being signed by him, are things that he has come up with.
Mm-hmm.
They are 100% what someone else is putting in front of him. And the fact that he would give an answer like, we'll look at that, when it's already been fucking
Done.
signed.
It's already done.
Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, and Enrico Tarrio was sentenced to 22 years in prison for his role.
Yep.
And Stuart Rhodes was sentenced to, did I write that down? I can't remember.
Daniel
His was like
Rodriguez was
12
sentenced
years
to
or something.
12 years.
Yeah, 12 years. Yeah.
Yes.
And he has always
So,
maintained, I didn't lead anything. I shouldn't be held responsible for this. Just like Trump.
yep.
Well, I mean, I didn't tell them that they should go down there and do that. All of your actions up to that told them that it would be fine.
Okay. So, in addition to those pardons, in the last 20 minutes of Biden's presidency,
Oh my God, yes. Yes.
the man pardons basically his entire rest of the family.
Oh, yeah.
And I get why he does it. He does it because he says, I don't want them to be a victim of political persecution.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I get it. But number one, did you not think about that when you were already pardoning, like, your kid?
Right.
And number two, Donald Trump says in an interview, he should have pardoned himself. Okay, you probably should have. Like, let's be honest. Really? You didn't? Like, wouldn't you have done that?
Well, yeah. And like, I don't remember, was Dr. Fauci one of them that he gave a pardon to in the last moments? I know that he did to like Benny Thompson and not McCain, Liz Cheney. But I don't remember if he did it to Dr. Fauci. But now Trump has taken away Dr. Fauci's
security
protection,
detail.
his security
Yep.
detail. And so, and he also took away, I mean, several other high level previous officials because they disagreed with him publicly after his first presidency and all of that. So, yeah, like, why didn't you? Did Biden think that he would be immune?
I don't know.
To Trump?
Maybe he did. But like, if you do, you've never met the man. Like,
right.
hello.
Like, clearly you're, and I will say, this is kind of off topic a little bit, but it is infuriating to me. I know that Biden did what was required of him. I love that Kamala Harris did not give a tour.
Mhm.
We talked about
Yep.
that previously to JD Vance
Yep.
and his family.
Yep.
But I almost think that Biden is a little bit gleeful about this. I think he would deny it, but him coming out and saying, which we talked about this before, that he thinks to this day he still could have won that election.
I know.
I think he thinks that this is dangerous
sticking
for the
it to
country.
everybody that made him.
Yeah, and that this is really bad for the country. But you guys decided to fucking leave me out of it, and you wanted me to step aside, so you get what you get. Like, I think a part of him feels justified a little bit with all of this.
To your point, it would not surprise me in any way, shape, or form that was his feeling on it. I don't know that I wouldn't feel that way. What I do hope is that I would recognize the fact that I would have fucking lost. Like, come on now.
Right.
Yes. So Joe Biden pardoned Dr. Fauci, pardoned General Mark Miley.
Okay. Oh,
Members of
yeah.
the House committee that investigated the January 6th attack on the Capitol
Yeah.
as a power to guard against potential revenge by the new Trump administration. Because to your point, we are already seeing Trump taking actions like the guy that wrote the book around his first Trump presidency, like he got his security detail removed.
Yes.
Fauci
John
got his
Bolton.
security detail. That's right.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, like we see that like
Well,
the
and
punishment's already coming.
these were questions that were posed to Pam Bondi, right, during her confirmation
Yes.
hearing.
Yep.
Will there be, quote unquote, a political hit list, inside the Department of Justice
Right.
on behalf of Trump? And she was like, no, 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 no.
Absolutely not. Yep.
And then day 1, day 2, here we go.
That's right. That's right. So pardoning everybody and their mother on the last day has clearly become like de facto for presidents incoming and outgoing. So it'll be interesting to see what Trump ends up doing there. But I thought that was interesting for the last minute pardons. One more thing. We are down, like we are past an hour, but I will say the next time I do want to talk about FEMA because in that same interview where Trump talked about Biden giving himself a pardon, he also talked about dismantling FEMA. I feel like this is a conversation, especially in light of the recent wildfires, that we should talk about, but I don't have
and
enough
why
time right
FEMA
now,
was created.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that next time.
Yeah.
Anything
and next
else?
week, I was going to say next week, or this coming week, I guess I should say, we have confirmation hearings for Kash Patel, Tulsi Gabbard, and RFK Jr. happening. So that's going to be super interesting to see what happens. I'm hoping that my work week this week is not so insane that I can't watch some of this live, because I especially went to watch Kash Patel's and RFK Jr.'s. I want to see how much that brain eating amoeba keeps him from being able to form a coherent sentence during his confirmation hearings.
We'll find out. We'll find out.
Yeah.
This will be an interesting week. A lot of stuff going on for sure. So it'll be.
Yeah. I also want to say really quickly that, like, this week I have felt myself getting more and more back into the, like, I could feel the anxiety rising.
Yeah.
It literally every day, like, I'm following some really smart fucking people on Substack. Like, I'm amazed at the genius of some of these independent news people that are on Substack. But every day I'm waking up to like 10 new emails from different people that I'm following on Substack of like, here's what's happened since last night. Here's what's going on. And I could feel it fucking rising. And so I'm like, oh my God. But again, like I've said, doing this with you has helped me to reel it back in. So I didn't think about this until just now. So if I say this out of turn, feel free to be like, no, she's a crazy bitch and we're not doing this. So I just want to say, if anybody wants to try this, come on with us.
Sure.
It's very cathartic to talk it out, to say what you're feeling. I also understand the fear around what's happening and not wanting to necessarily put yourself out there. And that's okay too. But like, the fear is a very real thing and worry is a very real thing. And you just have to take care of yourself in any way that you can. Reach out to us privately if you have the ways to do that.
Need to. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
But I'm glad we're doing this.
I agree, because to your point, there are plenty of Nazi salutes that can divert attention away from some of the real things.
Issues. Yeah.
That's right. So to your point, I do feel like hopefully you and I are doing a good job of trying to find the real issues while still touching on the shit like the Nazi salute, but going through
the Gulf of America.
And the Gulf of
like,
America,
let's
right?
not
These are
that right. Shit's just hysterical to me.
Right. These are the things that are distractions over the real things, which are things like the removal of the WHO, the removal from the Paris Climate, the
first time in our history of the federal government
orders.
Yeah, the first time in our history of the federal government declaring 2 genders only.
That's right. Birthright, citizenship, and
all
DACA, of those things are the real things that we have to keep eyes on, that we have to pay attention to. And if we're not keeping our eyes on both, then, or actually the really important stuff, then that's when all is lost. So to your point, I appreciate having these conversations. If nothing else, it just makes sure that I'm paying attention. And at the end of the day, like, that's all we can ask of people, is like, try to pay attention at least.
Yeah.
And again, with an nod to the fact that at this point, all of the information out there, so much of it is run by the people that support this lunatic. So please, like, do your own research.
Yes.
Watch your own whatever. Don't get all of your news from Fox News. Don't get all of your news from CNN.
CNN and MSNBC. Get on Al Jazeera's website. I freaking love Al Jazeera's website. Like, like you said, try to do some of your own research. Go to several different sites. Get on Reuters, get on the AP, get on CNN and Fox if that's what you want to do. But then just know, like, you got to do some digging.
That's right. So, okay. Well, with that said, we appreciate all of you that are watching.
Yes.
And again, to Nicole's point, with this being the first week, we know a lot of us are having mental problems,
big feelings,
anxiety. I've seen it on my Facebook posts of people that are like my gay friends, my gay brothers and sisters are worried that their rights are going to be stripped away, that their marriages are going to be stripped away, that their children are going to be stripped away. And I cannot imagine how terrified people are.
Yeah.
And so please show, if you are not in that scenario, please have some fucking empathy and some mercy and care about these people, and at least try and imagine what your life would be like if you felt your rights and what you value was being taken away.
If you were in a position of having those rights stripped from you, what would you want somebody to do for you?
That's right. That's right.
And then do that for them.
At a minimum, I would want those people to vote for people that didn't do that.
At a minimum.
So anyway. Yes. All right. Well, thank you guys all for watching. Hopefully you found this informative. If you guys have any comments, please feel free to leave them below. And of course, feel free to like, subscribe, and share this with whomever you would like to share it with, because of course, the more likes we get, the more likely we are to become rich and famous. And then we're all going to switch to Republicans and screw you all. So
we're all going to be at the next inauguration.
That's right. We're all going to be at the next inauguration. No. And let's also all remember that we have less than 2 years for our midterm election. So thank you, Nicole, for bringing that little tiny ray of sunshine to this conversation.
Yes.
All right. Thank you all. Have a lovely day.
That's right.
And go Chiefs.
That's right. Bye.
All right. Bye.